Good morning. I'm JoAnna Brandi, and welcome to Happy from the Inside Out. This particular presentation is based on my book, 54 Ways to Stay Positive in a Changing, Challenging, and Sometimes Negative World. It's a very fun, illustrated book, and it was actually that book got started because I was in a seminar teaching customer service in New Jersey in the US. And I talked about the fact that, especially in that particular position, you had to be able to have a degree of positivity. You have to stay positive even when things are going negative. You have to learn how to use your own system to make that happen. And a lady in the back row stood up, raised her hand, and she put her hands on her hips and she said, "JoAnna, what do you do to stay positive?" And put me right on the spot. So I came up with a few things really quickly. I was working for that company, which is the International Shipping, used to be called P&O Containers. I think they were bought by Ned Lloyd. Uh, but I was on contract with them, and so I did really well in the moment. And then I said to them, "Okay, I promise you that every time I did audio tapes for them. Every time I do an audio tape for you, I'm going to give you 13 more ways to stay positive." So that became a passion. And when I ran out of ways that I knew, I started asking all my friends. So I got a file folder in my bottom drawer that says 54 more ways. We just haven't made it into a book yet. But this is a delightful illustrated book. So we're going to go ahead. We are recording, and I am going ahead and bring up the PowerPoint. And well, first I think I have to hit the share screen button. Oh, this is interesting. The PowerPoint is up, and I am looking for it. There we are. There we are. I think you should be able to see it. I'm going to put it on slideshow. I will tell you that technology is not my strong suit. So here we are, 54 ways. I'm going to give you 18 today. I am a certified chief well-being officer. I'm a certified chief happiness officer. I was certified as a happiness coach over 20 years ago, studying with Dr. Martin Seligman, who is the founding father of positive psychology. So I am in it. I'm doing it. And I just want to spread the word. And thank you for joining us at the International Week of Happiness at Work. So the first slide I'm going to show you has to do with work. After that, it's all personal. Happy people are 31% more productive, 3 to 10 times more creative, have 65% more energy, and are 43% more adaptable to change. This, to me, is the most important statistic. They're more adaptable to change. They're also 44% more engaged. Now, I just opened my email this morning, and in the Morning Brew, which is a financial publication, I got to read you this. Employees who are happy, have a sense of purpose, are satisfied with your job, and experience low stress levels help increase the firm's performance. Indeed's Work Well-Being 100 is an index of the top public companies for work well-being that collectively outperformed stock market benchmarks, showing that well-being is better for people and business. And the insights are included in the 2024 Work Well-Being Report, and that comes from, hold your breath, 25 million surveys came in on that. So 25 million people said happiness is important at work. So I did a program the other day, which was more about the work culture, which will be available on my YouTube channel for you. And that's joannabrandi.tv. That should be available tomorrow. But this today is more about you and your happiness. I'll say one more thing about business. In all of my years, every once in a while, I ran into someone or something that just went right in like that. And that's this sentence, which I learned from Dr. Olaf Isaacson. You can't really motivate people. People motivate themselves. But what you can do as a leader, especially, right, is to create an environment where people feel good about themselves in your presence. And because emotions are contagious, when you're feeling good, when you're positive, when you're upbeat, that is going to spread because emotions are contagious, right? So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So my goal for you today is that you've changed the way you looked at something so you make space for change. So number one, change the way you look at happiness. Happiness is not a vague state of mind. It's a specific, measurable physical state of the body. There's a distinct brain activity, there are distinct heart rhythms, and there is distinct body chemistry. So it even affects the chemicals in your body. So happiness is not a state of mind at all. It's a state of body mind. So every time you have a thought or feeling, you're making a chemical. When you're thinking of something good, when you're thinking of something light, that's right. When you're thinking about something that you enjoy, you create the chemicals of calm. So you're creating in your body more dopamine. You're creating more serotonin. You're creating more oxytocin. That's the tend to befriend chemical. You are creating more endorphins. And when you create those chemicals, your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. There's two branches to the nervous system. The parasympathetic is the part of your nervous system that heals your body. So when you fall down and scrape your knee, you don't have to have an operation. The body knows how to heal itself. You scrape your knee, and within a couple of days, you're good. It fixed itself, right? That's the parasympathetic nervous system at work. So when you have those feelings of goodness, create the chemicals of calm, and you turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. But when you're thinking about something negative, you're creating chemicals of fear, and you're turning on the sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for fight or flight. So you're pumping cortisol into your body. You're pumping adrenaline into your body. Now that's really important to do if there's a bear chasing you, if you have to get out of a dark alley, if something is really dangerous. So it's negative feelings, negative emotions are important because they help us in times of danger. But all day long, we're making these chemicals. And now all day long, we're making these chemicals in response to what we see here. So we have to be real careful what we let in because we have a thought or a feeling. And then we have these internal stories that we make up about all the things we happen. Happiness is a practice. It's a process, not a place. It's a habit. It's a good one. It's a skill that can be learned and practiced. It's a work ethic. For me, it's a work ethic, like lifting weights. It's a choice that changes your brain. It's a muscle that you exercise. It doesn't just feel good, it's good for you. It is being called the new productivity. Wow, the new productivity. And I think it's the best darn competitive business strategy out there. Number two, notice what you notice. Pay attention to where your attention is going. Notice what you notice. Where is your attention going? Where attention goes, your energy will flow. So when attention darts back and forth like a squirrel, you're not going to get much done. So it's important to check in frequently. I have the gift of an ADHD brain. So this one for me is really important because I am easily distracted. So I often have to say to myself, whoops, where'd your attention go? I've got a window right out here. So if I hear a little noise or the people are outside with the leaf blower things, or like now the wind is blowing, I don't see squirrels as often as I see iguanas, from the corner of my eye, I'll see an iguana walking across the roof. But really pay attention to where you're putting your attention. Are you putting your attention on negative things? Because if you're putting attention on what's wrong instead of what's right, you're producing a condition in your body which ultimately makes you sick. Number three, don't believe everything you think. This is one of my favorites. Don't believe everything you think. When I first heard that sentence, I nearly fell off my chair. I was raised by two lawyers. Thinking was who you were. So here I hear this famous speaker saying, don't believe everything you think. It rocked my world. And the reason we don't want to believe everything you think is because we're thinking 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. And those 60 to 80,000 thoughts are quite repetitive. They're 95% of them are the same thoughts we thought yesterday, and 80% of those are likely to be negative. So pay attention to your thinking, see where you're going with it. 95% the same as yesterday, 80% of them, according to the people that count these things, are most likely negative. So the thoughts you think make up the stories you tell about yourself and others, which then become the drama that you play out in your life. Number 4, outsmart the crocodile. The crocodile is my way of talking about the primal brain. As we evolved, we never let go of the part of the brain that just wants to keep us safe, like I call it the crocodile. It's the ancient brain. We haven't had an upgrade in the hardware of our brains for over 250,000 years. So our brains are still wired the same way they were when we were living out on the savannah somewhere, when we were living without walls around us, when we were living with nature. So our bodies and our brains really are designed to keep us safe, not happy. That was in my study of happiness. That was something that really stuck with me. Your brain is not designed to keep you happy. Your brain is designed to keep you safe. So in order to do that, you have to outsmart it. You have to outsmart it. Otherwise, every little thing is going to attract that crocodile brain. So you need to outsmart that crocodile. Now, negative emotions are designed differently than positive emotions. So negative emotions stick like Velcro. Positive emotions slide off like Teflon. Now, this is the work of Dr. Rick Hanson, who's another one of my teachers. So, and this makes total sense from the primal brain standpoint, right? We want to remember things that are not good for us. So if we walk down a certain street at night and our intuition says, oh, this place is not safe, that implants itself in a part of your brain that's going to help you remember it. That's going to go into your amygdala. It's going to go into different places in your brain, which are going to alert you when you see that place or a place that looks like that place again. Perfectly wonderful for a survival technique. It works great. So we need those negative emotions. But we also need the positive emotions. Now, the problem with positive emotions is they go zip. They come in, they go out. Have a happy day. So you have to create more positive emotions than negative emotions. Now, the thing we want to know about negative emotions is they have the power to shut down our immune system for up to 6 hours. This is work that comes out of the Institute for Heart Math in California, USA. Negative emotions can shut down your immune system for up to 6 hours. But the good news is that positive emotions can build your immune system for those 6 hours when you create more of them. Barbara Fredrickson, another teacher, tells us that 3 times more positivity than negativity. We cross the line into languishing. So you need 3 times more positivity than negativity to tip that. But the human body actually works best when it's positive 5 times more than negative. When it's positive 5 times more than negative. So we want to create more of that positivity. And a lot of times we create that by telling stories, by talking to one another. Just think of when you congregate in the office, around the water cooler, things like that. If you have just come back from, I don't know, the bank at lunchtime or whatever you did at lunchtime, and you come back and you didn't have a very good experience, you're going to tell everybody about it because we're wired to tell stories. We're wired to listen to stories. So our stories need to change. Our stories need to focus more on the positive than the negative. And we all know what the media is doing. I don't have to tell you, no matter what country you're in, what's happening with the media today. So most especially today, since we can find out the horrors that are going on all around the world in about 2 seconds, we have to be very, very careful what we allow in. So this is about the stories. So when we speak about something positive, we can spiral it up. 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 So we can take something that's good and we can make it better. But what I typically see is that people go into a downward spiral. Oh, I had such a bad experience at the bank today. Oh, that teller was so nasty. Oh, well, I had a bad experience in the bank too. So what happens with people is that we tend to pick up on what other people are doing, and if we are so inclined, we spiral it down. I personally call this the rabbit hole. I go down the rabbit hole frequently. Now, part of that is because of how my brain is structured, which I'm now learning more about. But if you begin to listen to conversations that go on in the office or that go on at home, keep this slide in your mind. You want to say, how can I spiral this conversation up to one that's more positive rather than how can I take this down? Now, I have a lot of experience in using this slide when I do workshops, and boy, the stories I hear. Everybody seems to have somebody in their life that no matter what goes on can bring the story down. So pay attention. Are you spiraling up or spiraling down? Because the most important story you tell is the one you tell yourself. And we're telling ourselves stories all day long. So as you're telling your story, make it a good one. Choose a victorious story. So how you interpret a situation has everything you do with how your body responds to them. Are you dramatizing? Are you catastrophizing? Are you awfulizing? Are you disasterizing? I'm actually pretty good at that. You see, I am what I like to call a recovering pessimist. We don't have time to go into all of the chemistry of happiness, but a large portion, about 50% of our happiness is genetic. And as I like to say, I was born on the wrong side of the pie. So I am more likely to look at something from a negative point of view than a positive point of view. Now I'm getting pretty good at flipping it over. So when you try being more grateful, when you try being more appreciative, when you try being more humorous, when you look at something in a state of awe, when you look at things in a state of wonder, like trying to look at things how a child would look at them. But I think it's really important that we can interpret situations in different ways. One of the people I've had the pleasure of sharing the platform with is the gentleman who teaches at Boston Music School, and he is also the head of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, and he has a wonderful response to everything. When somebody comes to him and says something went wrong, he goes, fascinating. If somebody comes in and says something went right, he goes, fascinating. This guy's name is Ben Zander. He's written a book, and he's quite funny, but he has a way of looking at things that disarms people. I think that's a great leadership technique myself. So choose victorious, and please expect miracles. Miracles happen, but they mostly happen to people who believe in them. They also come frequently when you open the door and let them in. So we all have the power to create miracles in our lives. In fact, we are all miracles. We are all miracles. So at the end of the day, or at lunchtime, or when you take a breather to get a glass of water, just say to yourself, did any miracle happen? What was, you know what? For some people, it's miraculous that you can pull a spigot and water comes out of it. So change how you look at things so that you'll see the things that are miraculous in life. And when you have that attitude, that you can expect miracles, guess what happens? More miracles come. Oh, goodness gracious. It wants to upgrade my toolbar. Dear, dear, dear. Okay. Okay. Number 8, you can train your brain to be happier. So the more you practice positivity, the stronger the neural networks become. Train your brain to be happier. Neurons that fire together wire together. So when you do an appreciation audit and you list down everything you appreciate, when you do a gratitude rant, I go, oh my God, I'm so grateful. I have this, I have this, I do this, I get that, I get to do this. What you're doing is you're building stronger neural networks. And when you've got a stronger neural network for positivity, you get happier quicker. So for somebody like me who sort of isn't biologically happy, I'm not wired that way. The more I practice these things, the more I'm able to notice them, the quicker my brain is able to get me to a happier place. So much of this is biology. Number 9, this is my famous sort out your worries ritual. Okay, now I'm good at worrying. Did I mention I was raised by 2 lawyers? I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm really good at worrying. So one thing you do, you write a worry list. You spend 3 minutes, set a timer, and write down everything that worries you. Now you go through that list and sort it into 2 lists. So you can use a red pen for this. The things you can do something about, the things you have power over, and the things you can't do something about. So now sort the first list into 2 lists. Take the list of can't do's and rip it up and burn it ceremoniously. There's something about fire that really takes it away. Now, the way I do it, because I live in an apartment, have a lovely porch, I take that list and I throw it in a pot and I take it out to my porch and I burn it inside the saucepan. So can't cause any harm. But when you burn it, give it up. Say, okay, I can't do anything about this, so I'm giving it up. I'm letting go of it, and I'm going to take my energy and use it for the things I can do something about. Affirm, I'm letting this go. I can't do anything about it. I'm just letting it go. You're going to think, you're going to love this ritual. And then you go to your things I can do something about list. So take a look at the things you can do something about and take action. Write a plan to alleviate your worries. This will work. This comes from my 54 Ways book. And it's just, people have told me they get great luck with this. Number 10, do appreciation audits. I love this one. 3 to 5 times during the day, stop what you're doing. I want you to think about and write down 3 to 5 things that you appreciate. What you appreciate about your work, what you appreciate about your day, what you appreciate about your desk, what you appreciate about your life, what you appreciate about your activities. Now, I want you to do this while you're breathing deeply from your heart. Allow those good feelings to spread in your body. And what happens is over time, you will build capacity for joy and for noticing what is good. I'm noticing something over here. One of my clients loved this so much. They made these little, I don't know if you can see them, they made these little notepads so that people, it's called Positivity Practice, the Appreciation Audit. And it has 5 room to write down 5 things you appreciate. And you accumulate that over time. And then when you're having a bad moment, go back to your appreciation audit and see all the wonderful things that you have to appreciate. Now, this really works. If you do this for 2 weeks, I guarantee that you are going to move into a more positive space. So I'm going to encourage you to do this coupled with something else. So you're going to create a habit based on, let's say, when you drink water. We're all being told to hydrate more. So every time you pick up your water bottle or your water glass, think about things you appreciate. And then write them down. Write them down. So create that appreciation audit for yourself. Mm. Something to be grateful for right there. Number 11, savor. Oh, this is my favorite. Savor. Immerse yourself in an experience. Be very present, excuse me, and mindful in the moment. How much goodness can you feel? When I was first studying happiness over 20 years ago, Dr. Seligman, my teacher, talked about happiness as pleasure, engagement, and meaning. And we all had to take, there were a few hundred of us taking this course at the same time. We all had to take an assessment to see where we were high and where we were low. Well, lo and behold, excuse me, all this wind does something to my sinuses. Lo and behold, I took the assessment. I was really high in meaning. I was really high in meaning. I was really high in engagement because I get engaged with my work. I think it has great meaning. But boy, was I low in pleasure. So now we were together with a group of people in what we called pods. So once a week, we had to check in with our pod people and spend an hour, and we had to talk about the things that we were doing personally. And because I was low on pleasure, the things I had to do always had to do with pleasure. Let me tell you, I can make one little tiny square of chocolate last forever because I've learned how to savor. If there's one thing that will completely change your life, it's learning how to be in the moment and savor. And what you'll find is you will feel more goodness happen in your life. So how good can you stand it? Can you bring in more of these practices? That's the name of a book I'm putting together. It's called How Good Can You Stand It? Can you bring in more of these practices? Will you allow yourself more happiness? I'll bet you will. Oh, connect your heart. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been studying with HeartMath for a long time. The body is surrounded by a very large electromagnetic field. We are an electromagnetic field, and we're surrounded by an electromagnetic field. And when we take that moment, put a hand on our heart, maybe shut out the world by closing our eyes and thinking about someone you love. Be a person, it can be a pet, it can be that little piece of chocolate. And stay with that feeling for at least 24 seconds. You're changing the chemistry in your body. And then you can ask for a feeling of ease. You can ask for the feeling that you want. So you can bring ease into your body. So if you're having a tough day, just a few moments, the hand on the heart, radiating love, taking this sense of ease into your body. Then you can radiate that love and caring out to others. And if you are a leader, this becomes so important. I was working with a group of leaders just yesterday. I've got a group of about 20 leaders that I work with every month. And they're taking my course, my positive leadership course. And then we do what we call a wisdom circle. And we get together in a group, and we're doing it all online, which amazes me. But we're doing it all online. And what happens over time is that people learn how to do these things and their lives change. So yesterday we were talking about the fact that as a leader, it's hard to give, I'm going to use my words, constructive feedback. I think the conversation started with the word criticism, but I'm pretty quick to change the words. We had a lively conversation about how challenging it is, especially for a young leader, to give this constructive feedback. And one of the techniques I gave them was to first connect with their own heart, first connect with their own sense of appreciation, first connect with the things that they know about that person that are strengths. So what happens over time is it becomes easier to have these difficult conversations if you first create a heart field around you and around them. So make sure you do this several times a day. Connect in with your heart. When you do this, by the way, because I've been practicing this for a lot of years, when you on a regular basis connect in to your heart, you actually breathe. You allow yourself to believe you can breathe in and out of your heart. That's the best visualization to have when you do this. Over time, you become more intuitive. So your intuition increases. The goodness knows we need more intuition in this world. You see, emotions are contagious. So we can pick up other people's emotions. So we have to be really careful about the emotions we carry and about the emotions we pick up. There's that electromagnetic field of the heart. It is the largest electromagnetic field in the body, 5,000 times more powerful than the brain. But we keep thinking it's all about the brain. In reality, it's all about the field. We have that big electromagnetic field. So I ask you this question: what are you broadcasting? What are you broadcasting? Are you broadcasting those positive emotions? Are you broadcasting fear? Are you broadcasting negative emotions? Are you broadcasting joy? This is an amazing question to ask yourself before you walk into your office, before you walk into your house, before you walk into anywhere, before you pick up the phone, because this works over the phone too, because it's energetic. What are you broadcasting? What are you broadcasting? People can feel your emotions because emotions are contagious. And given what's going on in the world now, I believe we are all responsible for broadcasting positivity and positive emotions. We need to do the best that we can do to create this beautiful, positive spillover effect from our own system. You know that when you say something nice to someone, when you treat a customer well, when you treat a kid well, because this is really not about business, this is about life. When you treat someone well and you say something nice to them, they are likely to repeat that pattern 2 to 3 more times after they leave you. So emotions are contagious. So those positive emotions can spread out to quite a few people. Do it consciously. Put that little question in. What am I broadcasting? What am I broadcasting? Look back to yesterday and say, what was I broadcasting at 2 o'clock yesterday? Ooh. I use that question all the time in workshops, and you'd be shocked. And I, for some reason, always say 2 o'clock. You'd be shocked at how many people well, I wasn't broadcasting anything nice yesterday at 2. Just the languaging, and this is the one sentence, by the way, I find when I work with companies over time and I go back, their language changes. And this is becoming a question that gets asked a lot inside an organization. So if a supervisor is working with someone and they say, well, I had a negative situation happen with another employee today, that supervisor might say, well, what were you broadcasting? What were you broadcasting? Love that. I just love it. Now, here's the thing. You have a happiness set point. Yes, you do. We all do. It's like an emotional thermostat that moderates the amount of happiness we allow ourselves to feel. It's an adaptation response. Just like when you have a fever, eventually that fever comes down when you drink a lot of liquids, right? When you do what you need to do, that fever is going to come down. This is the body's adaptation response. When you look for happiness out there, when you say, I'll be happy when? I'll be happy when I get the car. I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be happy when I get the boyfriend. I'll be happy, happy, happy. When? You will be. You will be for about 2 months, because this is an adaptation response and you are always going to go back to your happiness set point. The body wants to keep your level steady. So when I say I'm a recovering pessimist, it's because happiness is about 50% genetic. 50% genetic. So when you aren't wired for happiness the way other people are, you have to work harder at it. One of the things that we know for sure helps us with our happiness, because this has been studied, is meditation. Meditation comes in all forms and shapes and sizes, and I'd be pretty sure that every one of you has a meditation app on your phone. It doesn't matter whether you meditate for 1 minute or 10 minutes. I know people will tell you they have to sit for 20 minutes or whatever. I meditate, if I can, twice a day. I meditate without fail once a day for 20 minutes. I try to get that afternoon meditation in every day. But if I can't do a long meditation, I do a 1 minute or a 2 minute or a 3 minute. The app I like the most is called Insight Timer because it gives you so many different options. But the one meditation that has been studied the most by psychologists is the loving kindness meditation. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live with ease. May I be at peace. When you say these words and then allow them to create warmth and tenderness and compassion in yourself, then you extend that out to others. So now you hold in your mind, perhaps your family. May they be filled with loving kindness. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they be self. May they be safe. May they live with ease. May they be at peace. And you can extend this on and on and on. And if you want to get very global about it, you can, because the third part of the meditation is the world at large, people at large. May they all be filled with loving kindness. May they all be happy. May they all be healthy. This is amazing. And I love the fact that it's been studied. This for sure will raise your happiness set point and make it easier for you to change. That happiness set point's a very funny thing. Some people are happy from the time they're born. I mean, I'm sure some of you have more than one child, or you have more than one sibling, and you can see, wow, that one was born happy, or wow, that one was born cranky. So some of us actually have to work a little harder than others. Because when you are, the 50%, when you've been born in the 50% that aren't naturally happy and you're kind of born critical, or in my case, lactose intolerant, back in the days when people didn't know what that meant. So as a baby, I screamed all the time because I was in pain, but nobody knew I couldn't talk, right? So all I got was, oh my God, my parents were exhausted because I was a screaming baby. So we all have something that either predisposes us to be a little happier than others, or in my case, I have to work at it. But that's okay, because we now have the information we need to work at it. Learn how to filter learn how to filter for the good. So you see how we're retraining our brain here? Ask the question, what's good? What's right? What's possible? What's working? What's good? What's right? What's possible? What's working? You can do this during the day. You can do this at the end of the day. What are the good things that happened today? What was right about the things that happened today? In the morning, what's possible today? What's possible today? When you get into a meeting with people, ask the question, what's working? See, we're always asking the question, what's wrong? Because that's how we were trained. Now we want to ask the question, what's right? What's the good news? And every quest begins with a question. So begin asking better questions. I want you to think about how your brain works. You get up in the morning. The first thing you hear in your head is most likely going to be a question. What day is it? Do I have to go to work today? What's for breakfast? My favorite. What's for breakfast? What do I have to do today? Where do I have to be today? You see, the brain runs on questions. And every quest is going to begin with a question. So you want to look at your questions and say, are they empowering questions or disempowering questions? And I would say in my own life, I like to share a lot about my own experience because I think it's valuable. I think that I used to ask only disempowering questions. What's wrong with me? Why am I so stupid? That was a big one with me. There have been many times when I've stood in front of the mirror and said, why am I so fat? You know, the kinds of questions, and what happens is the brain's going to answer that question. So, how about asking a more empowering question? How can I make this work? What can I do to make this better? I like this one. How can I be more brilliant today? How can I create more joy today? How can I set the stage for success? How can I stay in alignment with my desires? How can I always come out on top? When you begin asking different questions, you will get different results. Now, we were not trained to ask empowering questions. In fact, many of us were trained to ask disempowering questions because that's what the teaching was in the day that we were raised in. But now that we know better, now that we know that when you experience a positive emotion, you become smarter, you become healthier because the body begins producing the chemicals that build your immune system up. Now that we know this, now that there's science behind it, we want to create new practices. I call them positivity practices. Spend time working in your strengths. Spend more time in your strengths. Identify your strengths. Ask other people to help identify your strengths for you if you don't know what they are. Here's a great exercise. We all do it in positive psychology school. The very first thing you have to do is send an email out or pick up the phone, send an email out, ask people, when you see me at my best, what do you see? And then those people are going to respond with the strengths that they see when you are at your best. That's the important phrase there. When you see me at my best, what do you see? You can also go to viacharacter.org and do a strengths assessment. This is the positive psychology strengths assessment that millions of people have done. And it's surprising because what it is evaluating is how you put your values into action. So focus on your strengths. What are you good at? Do more of that. If you're a leader, find out what your employees' strengths are. Have discussions with them about their strengths and do more, help them do more of that. When you are in your strength, you're better at problem solving. When you are in your strengths, you're more creative. When you're in your strengths, you get into that flow state quicker and more often. That flow state, when you are experiencing positive emotion, the body can go into flow. You all know what flow is. Flow is when you forget about time. You forget to eat lunch. You're so absorbed in what you're doing. That's a flow state. It's a state of brilliance. And we all want to spend more time there. Being in strengths helps you build your teamwork, your collaboration, and your interdependence. And number 18, and then we'll take some questions. Create some islands of sanity for yourself. Create some islands of sanity. We're living in an insane world. Figure out how you can create islands of sanity. That could be a meditation practice. That could be a daily walk in nature. That could be making sure at the end of a day, especially a day when you've been on the computer, that you go outside, you take your shoes off and you put them on the ground, especially grass or sand or dirt. That grounds you. We're electrical beings. We need to be grounded to the earth. So make time to do that. Create an island of sanity with friends. I have a small group of friends I meet with every Wednesday morning and have now for 5 years. So we do a check-in. First we brag, which by the way, most people don't do because we were taught not to do it. So the first thing we do is we talk about our accomplishments the week before. And then we speak about our gratitude. What are we grateful for? And then we talk about what our vision is and how we're going to create that. And for us, Wednesday morning is an island of sanity. It's a place where we can go to know that who we are will be treasured. You can create that with your friends, somebody you take a walk with every day or every third day or whatever. Find ways. Some people find an island of sanity in music. Some people find an island of sanity playing with their pets. Some people find an island of sanity by cooking. My sister's a chef, and she seems to be happiness. She seems to be happiest when she's cooking because it puts her in that flow state. So what are your islands of sanity? You see, when you do this for yourself, you then create a big spillover for others. So you create a spillover in your culture that spills outside your business. You create a positive spillover in your family, which goes outside the family. You create a positive spillover in the community when you volunteer and help other people. We're all connected. We're all connected. Some people call this the spillover, the ripple effect. I see it this way. When you keep putting more in, it's going to spill over to others. You can change your happiness set point. You can have a happier life. You can make those choices. And there are more than 18 ways, but I only had an hour to talk. So 18 ways. You can find my book. I don't recommend going to Amazon because they overcharge for it. Barnes and Nobles has it for the cover price. By the way, I customize these for my clients, so you can put your logo right on the front. And when you open it up, there could be a message for your team right in there. And it doesn't cost any more than buying a copy on Barnes and Nobles. Now, I have a special report because we only had an hour. I have 21 positivity practices that you could use to overcome negativity. You'll have it in a printed copy. All you need to do is take a picture of that. And the first 10 people who do that, I don't even know if we have 10 people here, but I'm willing to do a personalized phone call. Would love to talk to you. Just let me know that you've gotten the report and we can set up a time. I'll send you my calendar link and we can have a conversation because it's really important to spill this over everywhere we can. Go ahead and take a picture of that. You can contact me by phone. You can contact me by email. You can find me on LinkedIn, and please do follow me. We post there 5 days a week, sometimes 6. We're on Facebook. We are all the places that we need to be. And I love sharing what I know. I love sharing my journey. And I want to see you grow a flourishing life. My favorite word at the top of my bulletin board, flourish, to blossom, to grow vigorously, to succeed, to thrive, to prosper, to be at the peak of development, activity, influence, production, to be in one's prime. So go ahead and be bold and go out there and grow a flourishing life. Okay, let me get you all back. And I see one thing in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry, Zelda. It seems like you couldn't get your mic set. Okay, and she has to travel today. A lot of people are moving around due to this hurricane. So ask me questions. Ask me questions. We have 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes here, something like that. Okay, who's got a question? Who wants to go deeper on one of those topics? Okay, Isabel.
Yes, I'm curious to know how different ways of telling these negative people and those spiraling down people that you're not gonna engage, like maybe just get away from them, like at work especially, but it happens also with family and everything, but we are discussing work here. So I have people in my team who are very negative and always seeing what doesn't work, and of course they're going to do this like that, and of course this is going to happen, and now look what they're doing, wow, we're champions. And how, and anyway, I got too close to one of these people for a while, and I could just notice how like it was dragging me down. I could just feel it. So and I got away from it. Like I started to do my own thing and just didn't, because it's not my usual way of speaking. But how do you let these people know that you're not going to engage, that what they're doing is negative, and they should like spiral up a little bit and get away from it?
Are you the leader of this group, or are you?
No, I'm not.
You're not. Okay. So you can't call a meeting or do any of that kind of stuff. Okay.
I can influence because I've been here in the team I'm one of the most senior in the team, have been here for the most years. So I do have influence on the
Good,
leaders, but yeah.
good. Well, the first thing is get yourself a good set of questions, because remember, the brain has to respond to a question because it runs on questions. So find questions like, well, what was good about that? Can you think of anything about that situation that was positive? Let's brainstorm that. You have to take that high road and start asking different questions. If you send me an email, I'm JoAnna at returnonhappiness.com. If you send me a quick email later, I have a list of, I don't know, 21 or 32 or something, appreciating and asset focused questions that will help you. That will help you. Be armed with questions and expect that people are going to treat you weird. Because because the culture dictates spiraling down. Oh, here we go down the rabbit hole again. So it's going to depend on how you ask questions, how bold you're willing to become. Are you willing to say things like, this conversation is like, sounds like it's spiraling down into the sewer. Let's turn it around by asking, well, what's good about that situation? What went right in that interaction? What came out of it that you can use? So you begin to arm yourself with a whole different set of questions, which then get different answers. And then as people begin participating in a more positive thing, they will naturally feel a little bit better. Now, there are people that pride themselves on their negativity, by the way. Yeah, they do. They're disasterizers, they're catastrophizers, they just, and there's not much you can do about that, but you can still, for yourself, begin becoming more positive. So do the appreciation audit. Have a gratitude book, especially at work. Don't only think you can do it at home. Every time you take a glass of water, write down 3 things you appreciate. And then do it again and again. Because what happens then is your energetic body will change and you will begin vibrating differently. I know this is a language. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you, everybody. If you do have to leave, that's great. Thank you very much for coming. But when you change how your body and being begin to vibrate, it is contagious. It is contagious. When you couple that with the right questions, the thing is, in an environment like that, you have to go into every day. Honestly, you pretty much have to put up a shield. Now, I personally, because I'm more introverted than extroverted and have spent the last 35 years of my life having to extrovert in crowds, I personally put myself in golden light. I just surround myself because the imagination is so strong. The imagination is the brain can't tell the difference between something that's real and something that's vividly imagined. So if you put yourself in a bubble of golden light, you're safe. They can't get in.
I like that better than the shield, because I'm always like I'm like you, in social events, like I'm outgoing, I'm the clown of the team and I make everybody laugh and everything, but it's exhausting. But I have to also protect myself. It's kind of like getting all this negative feelings. It can pull you down. But I like the light instead of the shield that I've been putting up, like kind of the wall. Like I have the walls right around me, but I prefer the light. Yeah.
When you put a wall up, it keeps people, it keeps a good energy out too. When you put up just light, and I've practiced this in airports and I can prove to you it works. When you put up light, and then what I do when I'm with people I don't know in an airport and things like that, I imagine that there are little sparkly things, on the outside of my aura, and we have auras, right? And that they're just slightly prickly, so nobody comes too close, because I don't want them to come close. So if you could see me standing online in a packed group of people, I have practiced this, and people tend to move out. This is very fun. This is such fun. This is fun work. This is fun work. Learning how to be more positive is fun work. So did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm keeping in mind the questions, like how to redirect and the questions, and I'm going for the prickly light. I'm going for that.
prickly, but nice prickly, not,
Yes,
but nice,
not bloody prickly, just
sparkly,
prickly.
sparkly.
Yes,
And
yes.
you do, I can see you do sparkly well.
I do.
Okay, I think we're good here, unless you have another question or have anybody else. Teresa, you still here? Shalimar, any questions? Speak up.
No questions, at least right this moment. This was really awesome. I needed this power
Oh,
hour.
thank you. That's wonderful. Pop onto LinkedIn. Tell people about it. Go on Facebook. People know.
Thank you so much.
And Teresa, I thank you for enjoying the listening. It's good stuff. My YouTube channel is JoAnnaBrandi.tv. I've been doing some new and exciting things there. We have a new program called The Growing Edge, where I interview people that live out on that growing edge. So we're hearing from some very cool people. Last week, I interviewed a woman that does ritual. And she talks about the rituals that you could do at work and the rituals you can do in your life, because rituals make anything sacred. So we've got quite a variety of stuff going on at JoAnnaBrandi.tv, and would love to see you there. So subscribe, stay in touch. I would love that. If you click on that, I don't know where it went. If you go to my website, you can get on my mailing list so that you'll hear from me every 2 weeks. I write a newsletter, and that's returnonhappiness.com. And I so appreciate all of you taking the time. This is fabulous. Fabulous.
Thank you
And
again.
happy International Week of Happiness at Work.
Yes. Maybe it'll be a year of happiness. We'll see.
Oh, stay in touch with me, Isabel. Because if you report in and let me know, I can spread the word. We can.
I'm gonna try to spread it too. I'm
Right.
I'm on
Well,
it.
Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we might be able to do some fun things on LinkedIn because we can experiment on you.
Oh, let's, and you'll see. Yes, let's experiment. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, JoAnna.
For me, it's all been an experiment. It's
Yeah.
always, and that's life is a learning laboratory. You might as well have fun.
Exactly. Might as well try things out.
Yeah. All right, take
Thanks
care.
again. Have a good week and be careful. Bye.